Today we are still staying up a little bit for JT Snipes' talk. He will be speaking, well, his talk is entitled Ain't I Black Too? Counternarratives of a Black Atheist. JT is a doctoral candidate in higher education and student affairs at Indiana University. He currently serves as managing editor for the International Journal of Qualitative Studies in Education. He also coordinates the review process and serves as an internal board review team member. I'm good at words sometimes. He's also a directorate member of the ACPA Commission for Spirituality, Faith, Religion, and Meaning. His research interest focuses on religion and spirituality in higher education, African American collegiate students, and critical race theory in education. So, we ready to go?
Yep.
All right, everybody.
As ready as we're gonna be.
All right, everybody, welcome JT.
So, first of all, I want to apologize. I was given instructions to send in my PowerPoint, and being the tech guy that I am, thinking that I know the system, it's gonna work out. They have internet, I can bring my laptop, everything will be cool. I made this really great Prezi and did not download it. So you're just gonna have to use your imagination. This is gonna be a low-tech presentation of what has been my work for the past 3 years now. As I was graciously introduced as the managing editor for a journal of qualitative studies, my research focuses on the experiences of African American atheists. And this is hard for me. I really want my Prezi to work because I had this great reveal. But when we talk about African American atheists, or African Americans in general, one of the first things that we think of, so I'll just let them work. So one of the first things that we think of when we think about Black people and Black culture is the Black church. And there's a really great quote by a theologian that I don't have memorized, but I was gonna read it off the slide. I'll read it off my phone. They figure this stuff out. And it is a quote that is a reinterpretation of a very popular biblical text from the book of 1 John. And the quote says, "In the beginning was the Black church, and the Black church was the Black community, and the Black community was the Black church. The Black church was in the beginning with the Black people. All things were made through the Black church, and without the Black church was not anything that was Black that was made." So if you talk to any person that is steeped in African American culture, that'll resonate particularly spiritually with a lot of African Americans, because 78% of the African American community identifies not only as theistic and not only as Christian, but Protestant. So there's an overwhelming resonance with this idea that Black people and Black church and Black community are all one thing together. For the brief time that I have, what I would like for us to do is to be able to begin to decouple y'all, my Prezi still didn't download, so don't get too high. There is internet. See, this is the problem. It just sits there, and all of my beautiful pictures and words won't come out. But we will push on. So before I move even further into this presentation, there's a huge portion of the Black community that is not only Christian. 13% of African Americans are a part of what we call the religious nuns. And of that 13%, 3/4 still say that religion and spirituality impacts their life greatly. It is something very important to their existence and to their lives. So even in the community of folks who are not connected to particular religious traditions, religion and spirituality loom large in the space. And for those of you who are interested in bringing more African Americans into the secular umbrella, that is something we cannot forget, is that, well, I'll talk about my own family. I feel like we're family. Can we talk like we family for a second? Talk about my own family. So when I talk to my mother about what it means to be an atheist, her response is, how can you believe in nothing? And that's the mindset that we have to talk to and speak to. We can't just say, oh, well, just use logic. Follow me. It's simple. They're not thinking about that. You have to be able to talk to the emotional affect of people. Because religion, and I'm going to try to work through this video quickly because there's some really great things. If we don't make it through the whole time, because my presentation was already pretty tight and technology messing up made it even tighter. So if we don't get through all of the analysis of this YouTube video, you can check it out for yourself. And as you watch it, the first 3 minutes are all about secular or Christian perspectives or theistic perspectives on secular community. And if you live in that space and think about what these people are offering, then you can begin to think about how can we bring more African Americans under the secular umbrella. So full confession, I'm not under the secular umbrella. I'm a Christian. Thank you. That's what I was waiting for. I needed some affirmation. And for me, it is very important to be in this space because of the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says in his letters to a Birmingham prison, that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And he goes on to say that we are tied in an inescapable garment of mutuality, and our destinies are intertwined. So if I want this world to be good, my secular friends, you are connected to that destiny. I cannot be good without you. And I know I come from a family of Baptist preachers, so y'all forgive me if I get a little hyped up. But that's the opposite is what we normally hear about secular communities, right? That you all aren't good without us. And as a Christian, my platform and my agenda is to say the opposite, is that we can't get to good without you guys. Our theology is based around an idea of love. And Jesus' words tell us to love those that do wrong to us, that hate us. And y'all ain't even doing wrong and hating us. Y'all just trying to love. And we say, nah, we can't have y'all in our communities. So anyway, I just had to get that confession off my chest. I hope y'all still love me. Know that I love y'all. And and we're gonna do good things together with the last 10, 15 minutes I have. So this video focuses on, it's a series that's done by Black Public Media Org. They do some really good things that try to, often the Black community is homogenized into this singular construct, and we are diverse within the Black community. We aren't just one thing. We aren't just Christian. And I think this YouTube video speaks to the religious diversity that is within the African American community. Oh, don't tell me the sound isn't working. Oh, thank y'all.
That's just a saying. That question got me a little nervous, you know. That's probably true. That's a strong statement. We shouldn't be accustomed to tradition. Step out of bounds, step out of the boundary, you know. Try to do a little bit of everything, you know.
Black folk don't do atheism. It's not absolutely true, but it's about as close to absolutely true as something could be, you know, these kinds of stereotypes.
I'm just gonna have to say most Black folk don't do atheism, and if they do, they're not wearing T-shirts about it.
No, we don't do atheism. We know there's a God. We believe in him. And praise Jesus Christ. We believe Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Yes.
That's my
Most black
grandmother,
people
y'all.
I know personally, there are Christians, Catholics.
Regardless of what diaspora we're talking about, whether it's the islands, the South, the North, it's one of the great links, I think, in black folk is that it's the belief in God.
Most of the people that I know that's the same color like me believe in God.
I think there's this inbred, instilled fear of God, among most black people that even if you think you're an atheist, you probably are not. Because somebody will beat it out of you.
I have had too many.
So I'm just going to pause and talk to you. I will have a conversation about what we just seen, because I'm an academic. I analyze. That's what we do. So what you're seeing in this first minute and 29 of the video is a concept that sociologist Jesse Smith talks about in his article on deconversion, so becoming an atheist. The first stage in moving through the deconversion process is what's called ubiquitous theism. So that's what these people are talking to, right? You got the sense that, well, just everybody's a Christian. Everybody loves Jesus. Ain't nobody in our community don't love Jesus. And we know that that is patently false. That not only presently, but historically, there's a lineage of African-American atheists. And if I have time, I hope I do, we'll be able to dice that up some more. So I'm gonna skip ahead in the video, but I just want y'all to have the concept. The article is Becoming an Atheist. It's by Jesse Smith, who is a sociologist. So I'm gonna skip ahead to next segment.
Moment from like, I'm certain that there is something. Is it sort of some white guy with a beard who sits on a cloud saying, you win, you lose, sort of orchestrating like the giant conductor? And no, I don't believe in that. But there must be some God force that's bigger than all of us.
My family, my extended family, to them, the fact that I don't go to church every Sunday, to them feels probably like atheism. Like they don't, it's just not a concept that you would have your own belief system, that you would not just subscribe and just fall in.
I sometimes feel like the black community has a tendency to be a bit more closed-minded, especially when it comes to religion. I think a big part of that is that that's something that kind of held us together when times were hard.
It's just...
So that's a familiar narrative as well. It's also false. One of the biggest lies that are perpetrated in terms of the quote that I began with is that nothing happened outside of the black church. And if you don't remember anything from this presentation, remember this. There's two really great researchers that came up with a theory called the semi-involuntary thesis. So, as you may or may not know, to be black in America, your rights and freedoms were restricted. And the only place that you could express your thoughts without them being monitored or without your life literally being in danger, you could die for not expressing Christian sentiments and Christian values. So it's that deep, right? Because Nat Turner, who launched a revolt for freedom, when he was younger, stole a pig. The way he continued to live is by recanting and reciting Christian scriptures. So black freedom is tied to the espousement of Christian values in a real way. So that's why you see this so ingrained in our community. It's because freedom can't come through any other means except through the church. Now, you guys probably know that not everybody that came into that space was a Christian or even bought the theology of that space. So the semi-involuntary thesis says that black people existed in this space because we had to. If you wanted to taste freedom, if you wanted to breathe free there, you went to the church, whether you believed in God or not. So the important thing from this clip is to push back against this idea that only liberation came through the church. Now, there were secular people in that space fighting to transform. The 5 minutes threw me off. Sorry, got 5 minutes. I got to move quickly. So there was political power and presence in the church. So people like A. Philip Randolph, who is, yes, for those of you who don't know, he's the architect for the March on Washington and fought vigorously for civil rights, worked with and mentored Dr. King. It's a very important figure, but he is silenced because of the politics of respectability. And if you're interested, y'all hit me up later. We need to have conversations about this stuff. I love it, I promise you. But the main thing to recognize is that the church is both a political agency and a space of theology. So it is both a sacred and secular space at the same time when you think about it historically. So yes, a lot of things were done through the black church, the physical building, not the spiritual ethos of the place. So that's an important distinction to make when you hear people talking about the black church being this wonderful thing. So we're going to hopefully get through a couple
It's not about
more.
God and believing in God. A church for the black community is a political place for action. Civil rights movement was all in churches. That was the safe meeting ground.
They know there's a spiritual being that watches over us and has helped us from the beginning of time. From slavery, civil rights, we survived so much hardship that we know on our own we couldn't have done it.
I'm going to skip ahead. I love her. She reminds me of my grandmother. But so there are perspectives offered from black atheists, and I want to make sure I say this before my 5 minutes is up. And
Myself an atheist necessarily because I think it takes too much effort to be an atheist. Let's just say I'm an uncommitted non-believer.
I don't know. I'm atheist, personally.
Why are you atheist?
I think the theory of religion is like complete bullshit, honestly.
Even though I will attend religious rituals, I'm culturally a Catholic because I'm from New Orleans. Everybody here is a Catholic, you know. I'm in front of a lot of Catholics right here who just happen to go a little sooner than me, but whether they're in a better place or I'm in a better place, who's to say?
I looked at church as like a way to scam people. Instead of like, oh, it's enlightenment or anything, I was just like, no, this is utterly bullshit. My parents are religious, and I'm not. They don't approve. They think I'm supposed to be. They think it's a phase, but honestly, I just don't believe in it.
And there's something
So I got 2 minutes left. Important things to take away from that is consistently, and I've been doing my dissertation research on the experiences of African-American atheists, and consistently that's what I hear from my participants, is that people within the black community have this long-term goal like, oh baby, you're gonna eventually come around. You're not smart enough to figure it out. This is just a phase you're going through. When you live more life, you'll get to the understanding that you can't do anything without God. And I had to channel my grandma. That's the old lady I saw as I'm saying that. Which, I'm gonna close with this last segment. I think the commentator hits the nail on the head of why us even thinking about this topic is important.
About, being Baptist and,
Community and being together. A huge connector between
and accept me for me, and, God says, accept all people.
I think there's a huge connector between God and community and being together and as a people. And for one to say that I don't believe in God almost disconnects you from the culture, as if you lose your card as being part of the culture. And I think that's something that's very scary for many people.
So my time is up, but one of the things that I want you guys to reflect on is the exacting social cost of being black and atheist. You become disconnected from your cultural group, and as nice as y'all good white and other atheist folks are, you ain't black, so it's hard for us to find resonance, and can often be difficult for black secular folks in predominantly white secular spaces. So one of the things that I encourage you to do is ask questions, do some research. There's a whole bunch of people that are looking at black secularism. There's a great book by Candace Gorham that you should check out. It talks about the experiences of black women atheists who have to deal not only with racism, but sexism as well. I'm out of time. I wish I could talk to y'all more. I love y'all. You have questions, I'm gonna be around.